What a lot of people don't know is that the government spends $600 billion a year, and Congress mandates that we spend 23% of that with small businesses. We're very serious about making sure dollars don't just get to small businesses, but they get to all types of diverse small businesses.
Welcome to Financial Freestyle with Ross Mack here on Yahoo Finance. Look, guys, whether you're a Wall Street professional, a retail investor, or just beginning to reshape your own financial future, there's always a first step you got to take. So, guys, join me as I sit down with some of the most influential voices in finance to actually uncover their journeys towards economic success. All right, guys, today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Jackie Robinson-Burnett of the SBA, and she's the Associate Administrator of the Office of Government and Contracting. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, you and I shared a stage once in DC, and I normally would go in the back and just kind of, take a break. I was sitting front and center as you were speaking with my phone taking notes.
You were.
And before we actually even get there, I just want you to tell the world, who is Jackie?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Jackie Robinson-Burnett, Associate Administrator for the Office of Government Contracting and Business Development. I spent 35 years in the federal government before I retired in 2017. I do want your listeners to know I'm still 35 years old.
I could see it.
Don't do the math. Mind your business. But I spent 35 years in the government, and I grew up doing acquisition contracting. And after I retired, I moved to Florida. And I got this phone call from the Executive Office of the President calling to ask me would I come back as a presidential appointee of the Biden-Harris administration to lead the small business program for the federal government. And what a lot of people don't know is that the government spends $600 billion a year.
$600 billion.
That's a B. Billion. And Congress mandates that we spend 23% of that with small businesses all across the country. And I run that program that helps facilitate the contracts for that 23%. And last year, we awarded $178 billion to all types of small businesses. Small disadvantaged businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned, and firms that are in historically underutilized business zones like Detroit, parts of Southeast DC, and New York.
Going back to DC when I first heard you speak, like I told you, I was marveled because this is something that the average person never hears about, right? And what is even more alarming is that it's a job that is probably a small business that you might have right now that the government is actually buying those services. So can we actually talk about what that looks like, right? When it comes to getting a government contract, but more importantly, how to even know if you qualify?
Yes. So spending $600 billion a year, you can imagine the government buys everything, unless it's something that's illegal. But every type of service or supply to run our government and to support our Department of Defense and the civilian agencies, the government buys. And it could be anything from custodial service to maintain our buildings, leases to lease government buildings that aren't owned by the government, information technology, weapons systems, construction, medical support, acquisition support, marketing. So, and teaching and training. So many businesses don't know the government is looking for them. And we announce contract opportunities on sam.gov. It's called the System for Award Management, sam.gov. And you can register your business to do business with the government. And it takes about 2 days to get the codes. You go into the system, they'll come back with different codes called a UEI code that you can use to go after contracts in the federal government. And we have contracts that are under $250,000, which is very small to the federal government, but it could be a huge opportunity for especially a small minority or disadvantaged business. And those contracts are automatically and exclusively set aside for small business. Don't even ask questions. Those are reserved for small businesses. It could be teaching or training. It could be grounds maintenance. So there could be someone with a grounds maintenance company, and every military installation or government facility needs someone to maintain the grounds. And we do that through government contracts. You can go on sam.gov, register, and then look for the opportunities. The SBA actually teaches firms how to go after contracts. We'll teach you how to register your business, how to grow it, and that training is free.
Because I remember when I was sitting in the audience, there are people that will charge you for this. However, you guys have the ability to do it for free. And once again, to the people that are listening, right, she mentioned several jobs that, or services that you might be able to offer the government. But there are things such as, if you're a photographer, right, like it's a vast amount of jobs that, a service that you might provide. So I would definitely recommend going to sam.gov. And then, so like, what would you say a small business has to do to truly, ensure that they have their ducks in a row when it comes to getting that type of contract?
One of the things they need to make sure is they have the finances to do the work. And the SBA offers loans. We help with lines of credit, because when you do work for the government, we may give you a contract and you may have to hire 10 people. Well, those people want to be paid every 2 weeks. And you may not get your first government check until a month after you start that contract. So the SBA offers financing so you can help to help you perform. So you want to make sure your finances are in order. And then you want to make sure that you have the ability to perform the work that you go after. Like it seems like that would be common sense, but sometimes these opportunities come and you're excited that, wow, the government wants to give me $1 million contract. But the worst thing you can do is go after a contract and you're not ready. We have all types of opportunities for you to learn from another government contractor. We have a mentor protégé program where an experienced contractor can work with you and share in doing work of the government contract with you. You have to have past performance typically to win some of the larger contracts. And if you partner with a large company in our mentor protégé program, you can actually use their past performance and experience to get that new contract. But that's called our mentor protégé program. But I would really encourage everyone to, number one, go and register. Even if you don't think the government buys what you sell, go and find out. Like, don't guess about it. Just go and find out. And then go to the SBA site and go to the learning platform and take all the free courses and classes you can to learn how we do business with small businesses.
If I am a small business, right? First step is I go to sam.gov. I'm registering there.
You're registering there.
And then you say I'm looking to see what my business is using the code.
Yes. So let me explain that a little bit. Every type of service or supplies has a NAICS code, NAICS, North American Industrial Classification Code. So for instance, 541519 is IT. And other IT support systems. There's a code for construction. There's a code for medical support. There's a code for marketing, for public speaking, right? We have people that come in and do public speaking for us. You find out what your code is by looking on the SBA site for NAICS. So you can just Google NAICS NAICS code and then click in and find what the code is for you. It could be financial support. Did you know we hire people to do financial support? And the IRS helps people with taxes. Like, we have contracts for almost anything. So find out what your NAICS code is. You'll register using that code. And when government contracting officers have an opportunity and they're looking for someone that does what you do, they will put that code in to sam.gov and to the dynamic small business search looking for small businesses, and your name will pop up and they can send you an opportunity. But even if your name doesn't pop up, that acquisition opportunity will still be on sam.gov for you to go out and find it and let them know you're willing and ready to propose on that opportunity.
So now, right, say we do everything that you said, right? I know my NAICS code, I sign up, I apply, and I get awarded a small contract.
Yes.
What's that look like? And more importantly, does that kind of keep you in that pipeline moving forward and hopefully give you the ability to get larger contracts?
For sure. And one of the things I also tell companies to do is first take a little bit of time to look at the 24 Chief Financial Act offices in the federal government, the government offices that buy, and find out what they buy. So then you can really target those agencies. Every agency has an OSDBU office, which is an Office of Small Disadvantaged Business. So if you are healthcare, you can, consider Health and Human Services or Defense Health Agency. And instead of looking at Department of Treasury that may not buy what you sell, you can really hone in and focus on those agencies that really buy what you sell. And you can contact the OSDBU office, that Small Disadvantaged Business office, and present your capabilities. Ask them what type of opportunities are coming up over the next year that align with what you do. And you start building relationships. In the government, everything is about building relationships.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things you do. We have conferences all across the country. I'm getting ready to go to a conference in Miami called the GovCon Giants Conference. And a lot of these conferences cost anywhere from $100 to $200 to attend. We have a lot in every local area. There are government contracting offices, and we're bringing contracting officers and small businesses professionals to teach you everything you need to do to win government contracts.
I feel as though if you're a small business, one government contract could literally be all you need.
Well, every government contract has a beginning and end date.
Gotcha.
So the typical government contract is for 1 year, but then if it's a service, they may award it for 5 years. So you would get a base year and then 4 option years. And so if you do well on that base year, then they'll extend it automatically up to 5 years, for each year up to 5 years. But when you get that first one, you also want to be looking for that second one. Right? So you want to have a continue what we call pipeline of contract opportunities that you're going after. And then you want to have a backlog of contracts that you have to perform. So you never want to, things can happen bump in the night. You don't want that one contract that you have and your 10 employees, to not have other opportunities. I have seen companies grow tremendously. Dave Stewart, who owns Worldwide Technologies. Have you ever heard of him?
Dave Stewart.
Who owns Worldwide Technologies. He was a founder. He's the richest. He started in our program, in the 8A program.
Wow.
And he grew his company to over 70 million, but of course it continued to grow. He graduated from the program. So let me tell you about the 8A program, which is designed specifically for socially and economically disadvantaged companies. Previously, if you were a part of any race-based group, certain race-based group, Black, Hispanic, Asian American, you could check a box and then have your finances and everything in order and get into this program. And the government will give you sole source contracts up to $4.5 million, meaning you could walk into an agency, convince them that you know what you're doing, and they will just trust you with that work until they know otherwise. If you're not in the 8A program, you may have to compete and put a price and a proposal together to compete for the work. But if you're 8A program, you can get that work sole source. And it's a business development program for 9 years. And so now if your net worth is under a certain amount, $8 million, if your income is under $350,000 a year, then you can be eligible for this program if you've experienced some type of bias over your lifetime. And then you can write a narrative about that and get into this program and start winning contracts. But it lasts for 9 years. Then we want you to graduate and continue to do wonderful things. So he is one of those firms. And I could roll off so many firms like his.
The richest Black guy in America started in this program.
In the 8A program.
8A?
There's another company, Ty Logan, that owns Obsidian Solutions Group out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Early in 8A, he's a veteran, got out of the Navy, was an enlisted man in the Navy, got out, started his company, and early he won a $100 million contract from the Department of State, doing similar work that he was doing when he was in the military.
You got to love it. Look, we need to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to get even more personal and teach you how to get those government contracts with Jackie Robinson-Burnett. You guys don't want to miss this. All right, guys, welcome back to Financial Freestyle. And we're here with Jackie Robinson-Burnett of the Small Business Administration. And look, guys, for this next question, I I'm still marveled. I'm still taking notes. I'm gonna probably replay this several times, but I also understand that there's certifications when it comes to this. Can you expand on that?
Yes, I'm so happy that you asked this question. So, in government contracting, there are 4 different types of small business certifications. One, you can be certified as a service-disabled veteran-owned company or a veteran-owned company. Another, you can be certified as a woman-owned small business or an 8A company, 8A certified, which I just talked about the 8A program, which lasts for 9 years, or a hub zone company, historically underutilized business zones. The SBA, my team, I have a team of about 250 employees and 5 senior executives. We run the government contracting program for the federal government, but we also do the certifications out of the SBA headquarters.
Okay.
The government's 23% that is set aside for small businesses, they give that to companies that are certified to do business with the government and certified in different small business programs. So a percentage of that goes to small businesses that self-certified themselves that they are small.
Okay.
And that's based on the NAICS code that they've chosen and the size standard for that NAICS code. So for instance, if you do administrative management support, the size standard might be $16 million, which means over a 5-year average, if you have under 16 million in revenue, you're considered small.
Okay.
So a small business may self-certify themselves, but the SBA certifies the veterans, the hub zone, the women-owned, and the vets. And there are contracts that are set aside specifically for those companies. So the government may do what we call a source of synopsis on sam.gov and put out an action that says, we are looking for a small business to do administrative management support. And if 2 or more veterans respond and they're certified by the SBA, the government may set that work aside where only veterans can go after it. If 2 or more women respond, this is called the rule of 2. If 2 or more women respond, we can set it aside for women. Or if it's 8A, an 8A company responds and it's under 4.5 million, we might even sole source it to that 8A company. But you want to get certified so you have that ability to go after the small business work, but also those what we call subcategory set aside contracts. And there's specific goals with every federal agency. We want them to give a percentage of their contracts just to women, just to small disadvantaged businesses, 8A companies, veterans, and hub zones. So every agency, we have the overall government goal, but then we assign at the SBA a goal for every type of program to each agency, and then we score them at the end of the year on did they meet those goals. So it's important to get certification. And let me tell you what's really exciting, and this is brand new.
Uh-oh.
So when I got called back from the government, the White House said, hey, we want to revamp this certification program. And right now, if a firm is eligible, because if you were a veteran, you could be eligible for the 8A, for hub zone, and veteran. But you would have had to go into 4 different systems, 4 different logins, work with 4 different teams that all work for me, but 4 different teams, really to get the same type of documents reviewed by each of them. And one, if you were going for your veteran certification, it may take 2 weeks, but your 8A, it may take 3 months, 6 months. And one of our teams may tell you your tax returns are good, another may have an issue with them. So what we did over this last 9 months is we consolidated all the certifications into one platform called My SBA Certifications. And the website is certifications.sba.gov. So certifications.sba.gov. And it's brand new. We launched it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. That's epic.
Okay, I'm giving you something new and fresh here.
That's epic.
Now, a company can submit one set of documents into one portal and click the box. I'm a woman. I'm a veteran. I'm socially and economically disadvantaged. And I live in the rough part of New York.
Wow.
And get all those certifications in one letter.
And you apply for, and you have the ability to apply for all those things.
For all of them
That's
that you're
awesome.
eligible for.
That's remarkable. So I'm happy to hear that we announced that here on Financial Freestyle.
Definitely. And let me just tell you, last week, Vice President Harris, she announced it. And I was just so giddy, like, oh my goodness, our Vice President is talking about our work. But the Biden-Harris administration really pushed government contracting this year and did some amazing things. We also increased the goal for small disadvantaged businesses to 15% by 2025. Like that's triple what the goal used to be.
That's awesome.
So very serious about making sure dollars don't just get to small businesses, but they get to all types of diverse small businesses. So yeah, really paying attention to those dollars.
I remember we were in DC. I think you told a story of a husband and wife. They had a cleaning business or janitorial business, and they cleaned to help get their kids through school. And they were and the kids ended up taking over the business.
Yeah, Melgar Facilities Management.
And they literally got some government contracts, and
they got it 8A certified.
So to a person that's sitting at home, right, that's listening to this, no matter where they are,
yes,
like, let's, for the interest of time, just tell that quick story, but more importantly, make it relatable, and maybe give those 3 steps that a person should do as soon as they get done with this.
Okay, definitely. Melgar Facilities Management, a company that right now has over $100 million in contracts and contracts in 50 states, started with a husband and wife company that just cleaned houses. They had 2 boys. They would take their boys with them in the evening to clean houses and to clean some businesses. And when the boys graduated from college, one took finance and one studied business. They went to DeVry University, like that's what their parents could afford. When they graduated, they came back and said, Mom, Dad, we want to take this company from you. And they took the company over, got it 8A certified. Right? They registered in SAM, got it 8A certified, and then start offering to clean government buildings. And now $100 million in contracts. I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago on the phone, and he is just amazed at the opportunity. And he said it's never would have happened without government contracting. I got to tell you one more very story of my neighbor. Her name is Tabitha Turman, and she owns a company called iFast. Tabitha quit her job about 10 years ago, and she came to a conference, and she just knew how to do taxes. And she came with like perforated cards, and she said, I want to do taxes for the government. She had just quit her job to do this. She got her company certified 8A, woman-owned, and she's a vet. She's now graduated from the 8A program, and the year after she graduated, she won a $350 million contract. She was winning contracts all along. And so, yeah, she's actually not my neighbor anymore. She moved up to D.C., to places probably I couldn't afford to move to. But that is just one story of, Black American woman who grew up in St. Louis, got into the military. All she knew how to do was taxes, and she brought that to the government and started doing financial support services for the government, and now a $350 million contract.
So, interest of time, Ross Mack getting ready to try to get my small business. Here are the steps. sam.gov.
Yes. Find your NAICS code.
Find my NAICS code. I was going to say that too. Watch, right? sam.gov, find my NAICS code. Get certified, whether that's 8A or,
small business, veteran-owned. And start looking at the agencies in the federal government that
you said it was 24.
Yes, and you can actually go to acquisitions.gov.
Okay.
And you'll see all what we call forecast of what all the agencies are buying, and then start knocking on the door, asking for meetings and saying, hey, this is what I do. I'd like to work for you.
I love it. Well, listen, I can't say thanks enough. Like I said, when I met you, I was inspired. I know for a fact the viewers were inspired, so I just want to thank you so much for coming. That's it for this episode of Financial Freestyle. Thank you. Thank you so much to Jackie for joining us. And guys, we truly hope that this gave you something to consider when it comes to helping you build your own financial journey. Make sure you guys come back next week for a new episode of Financial Freestyle here with Ross Mack on Yahoo Finance.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.